Wanted to let everyone know we're doing the SCA IKEq presentation at Gulf Wars right now, and I'll have this going for a little bit. I'm going to start with the actual board that tells everything, and I'm going to kind of go through some of that. So here we go. And let Sandor, if you will, Sandor is going to go ahead and run this on for a little bit. All right, well, welcome everyone. And I think you might remember me from years in SCA Donwena, La Marchelle. And I am happy to report that IKEq is going to be going strong again. And this time we've brought it into the future, which is now. And you can actually access the website from your smartphone, tablet, computer when you're at an event, as long as you have your Wi-Fi going, and you'll be able to upload scores. You won't need your hard copy, but we will have those available. So I want to just start by introducing you to some of the changes that we're incorporating. First of all, we have a QR code, and it'll take you right to, so you can see that right here. We have tested it. It goes right to this website that Sarah put up.
Actually, that's a different one, but it's
okay,
same area.
To this one right here, and then we also do have a Yahoo group. It's called SCA IKEq News Alerts. So for those of you who are still on Yahoo versus perhaps maybe Facebook, we actually do have an announcement list, and this will give people the opportunity to talk about when they have some IKEq events coming up in their kingdom. And people are wanting to participate and get their scores in. We do have a Facebook group. It's called SCA Inter-Kingdom Equestrian Competition, and one of the things that I did new that is not listed up there is we now have a YouTube channel. So I just put one little short video up on that YouTube channel, and you can go to the to YouTube and search it under SCA Inter-Kingdom Equestrian Competition. And that will give people, again, the opportunity when they're out in the field to be doing their video footage of their competition and upload it immediately so that everyone could see what they're doing. Not just see scores, but actually see real competitions. So that's going to be pretty exciting. Over here I did put a snapshot of each of the games that are in Inter-Kingdom Equestrian Competition. Over here we have beheading, mounted archery here and here, rings, berjas, and reeds. So those were the ones that were chosen because we could standardize equipment for those. In other words, the best example is if we talk about quintain. Everybody knows that quintains can be so varied into how hard you hit and how easily they spin. So there was no way we could safely standardize those, knowing we would always come out with something that was going to be equal from kingdom to kingdom. So we chose these games because they're standardized, pretty much. So we could be assured we're going to get scores that are going to be easy to compete against each other and will be consistent. One of the things new that we have is we now have I'm sorry. I did want to say here that we're going to talk about this here. It's a snapshot of what you can look at on the web to input your scores. But real briefly here, I want to make have you notice that the Hall of Fame, we do have that now on the website, and that should show the highest scores for last 15 years, I believe.
With some holdouts, but yes, we're going back 15 years.
15 years. And IKEq's actually been since 1994, I believe. Yeah, 1994. So prior to even getting these scores available for the last 15 years, we were doing it just by a spreadsheet and then sending it out to Kingdom newsletters and saying, here's what the IKEq scores were. And so now we're, here we have the ability to look at the highest scores, and we may be able to recover those scores as well from even earlier than that. And then as far as the actual IKEq itself, I did write down here who served as administrators from the beginning. So those are listed here, and shows the years that they were in charge of keeping track of the scores and getting those posted. And this is a brief history which you all can read, and I think Sandra might be talking a little bit about that too. And then finally, just to show you that when you pull up the website on your smartphone and you're getting ready to input scores, you're going to have something that's going to be very easy. All you do is press and pick what the person did for what they got as an example here on mounted archery. And you just press the little button for which one they got on their run, and boom, the score, you hit submit, and you're good. It's going to be that easy. No more going back and having to keep track of papers. And then last but not least, it will actually add all the scores for you. So you don't have to be a mathematician. Now, again, the flip side of that, though, is all these score sheets are going to be available for you to download and print out before events in case you decide you want to do that as well. Nobody is saying that you have to do it this way when you're out in the field.
And until we get it to where we trust it, you will still have to use paper sheets.
Yes. Go ahead and always do that until we
As
say
a backup, if
everything's
nothing else.
Yes.
And it might be a good idea too, just to always have that, even if it's just for yourself, because sometimes you can hit something on a computer and you
Right.
realize you hit the wrong spot.
And wireless signal is notoriously finicky. It can work 1 minute and not the next, which is why until we have a system that is totally bomb-proof, people are going to have to keep using the paper sheets.
Yes. So at this point, I believe Mako or Sandor, we're going to do a little bit next. Sandor.
I'm not going to say
I'm going to switch over here.
I'm sorry, I'm Maka of Mountain Edge from Armtier, which is Pacific Northwest. And I ended up, I have not been involved in IKEq, other than collecting scores for people at some of our events, but I decided to get involved in attempting to revitalize it, because last fall a survey was done to ask what people wanted with IKEq, and 40% of the survey respondents wrote comments, which not only was that unusual, but as I read through the comments, it was clear that despite, in the last 15 years, the Equestrian and SCA has grown tremendously and added a whole bunch of new things. We can now have experimental wooden lance jousting. We now do mounted archery. We now do many more things than we used to. Yet, these people were saying, especially in kingdoms where the equestrian programs are quite scattered, maybe a pocket here, a pocket there, or places with fewer practices, they felt IKEq was useful because while you submit scores from an official SCA practice, in other words, the insurance was gotten, or at events, you could use some of these on your own to gauge your skill before you decided to haul your horse, in some cases 12 hours or more, just to try to be at an event if you're in a practice-deprived area. So seeing those comments, I said, okay, but then instead of having one person doing all the work, we thought it might be better to have a council, so if somebody had a horrible attack of modern life, there were other people.
Oh, that never happens, Maka.
Sandra,
Never, ever.
Sandra was willing. The other thing was we wanted to try to make the scores possible on the website and to make the website responsive, meaning you could use it from a variety of mobile devices, not just a big laptop. And Sandra was willing to do the extensive coding work to try to make that happen. Anybody who's worried about the survivability of code, we have a repository that he set up at GitHub. Anybody knows about that? In other words, survivability, because It's being revivified.
Right.
You're getting into the technical stuff that I was not really going to go into a lot of detail about.
Okay.
However,
And this is Lord Sandor Dosa.
Greetings, everybody. Sandor Dosa here. I am the little web gremlin that came along with Gulf Wars 10 way back in AS35 and began the long process of saving Miss Donwina's sanity. Dramatic pause. When we first started working on this, Donwina was spending almost all of her time tabulating, calculating, putting everything in a score sheet, and then if she had any time left over, she was doing all kinds of wonderful ways of trying to encourage more people to hold IKEqC events. It got to the point where you almost didn't even have time for your own horses, didn't it?
Yeah, or go to an event.
Right. And that's too much work for one person. It really is. So we started working with a new way of doing things that was in the experimental stage in AS36, and with AS37, the marshals started to be able to put the scores into the website and the database directly, and because of that we've got data going back to AS37 in the current format. We're going to a slightly new format next year. We'll be able to slowly import the old stuff, and if I can find a good way to translate it, we can get the archives out of AS35 and AS36 into a new system. We've got a legacy display of them right now. And another new thing we're going to have soon is I'm going to be able to offer a mirror package for people to host on their own websites of what the scores are for previous years. So if you want to pull apart or all of that package, you get a hold of me and I'll point you the right way. The biggest thing we're working on right now is going to what's referred to in the web world as a mobile first design. That will come first. Then we're going to go to a responsive design. That means that depending on what kind of hardware you're using, the system and the page will adapt to the screen you use. This is what WordPress uses. This is what Facebook uses. This is what the current tech is. I'm not going bleeding edge, but I'm going to bring the code up because some of this code is, quite frankly, 17 years old. It's time. The biggest thing we're going to work on is near real-time score entry. That means the marshal at the event between passes will use an app on their phone with screens similar to this to enter the data to calculate the score, website with mathematical heavy lifting, and people who are watching on the sidelines will be able to use a screen like Miss Maka has on her laptop right there to show what the scores are while the event potentially is still going on. So if somebody sneaks away, they can look on their phone. Oh, Duke's our example hasn't done heads yet. I've got 5 minutes to run to the privy. And while you're in the privy, oh my God, Duke's our example just read heads. I got to get back there. This is something that we're going to play with. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, we'll try something else. People say they want us back. We enjoyed the years when we had a lot of people wanting to run this. One of the biggest things we've heard is that people didn't want to set up all the games. You don't have to set up all the games. You can set up your favorite or your favorites. If you want to run IKEqC games as part of a challenge course and submit IKEqC scores for that, that's perfectly okay. Run one, run them all, run what you can. We understand that mounted archery is a specialized game. It requires a specialized additional authorization over and above mounted games. We're making changes for that. Unfortunately, because of the course requirements for the triple target, or it's been called several different things, but the long course with 3 targets and you get 1 shot at each target, we're calling that triple target now. And we're gonna work with people on that, but it's going to be single target where you've got 3 arrows for 1 target. That's what we're probably going to see the most of if we see any at all. We'd like to see scores submitted in each of the 7 variations of games we have for you. when I first started, we just had heads and rings. And that's been a long time. And I know some people complained about this or complained about that. Why are we using a modern stopwatch? Well, because the game doesn't score right otherwise. Sorry, folks. Okay, so we bring in these other games. And, you know, we're only as good to you as what we know to do for you. So let's open it up. Let's have the discussion. What part of IKEq worked? What part of IKEq didn't? How can we improve? How can we make this valuable to everybody? We don't want to compete with anybody else's way of playing equestrian in the SCA. We want to be a part of it. We want to be along for the ride. So we're back. We're putting our effort into it. We're going to revivify this thing, and we're going to do our best to make it the game everybody wants to play. Now, this is going to be kind of a town hall type thing. Anybody got any questions? Now's the time to pipe up.
So I've got a couple, and I'd like to go first one because I got a 3:30 meeting I have to run off to.
By all means.
On Behead the Enemy, are we turning and going back the way it was previously done, or is it simply a weave to the end?
The way it is currently in the rules, as you pass the end marker, you will come around and it is a straight shot home.
Yep. So
No additional weaves.
yeah. So it's go up and it's weave up and straight run back, and then the stopwatch stops right then when you hit the finish line again.
So what's not clear from this information
Yes, sir.
is that a return to the start is part of it. You show the score set, you show the setup, 30 feet,
Right.
21, 21, 21.
We've got
But you do not show, here is what must be done. Time starts when you pass the first pole with no head. You weave 4 heads. You weave the last pole, and it's a straight run back. And time stops when you pass that pole, right?
That's very astute of you. That's one of the things we're in the process of changing. There is an addendum at the end of that, which are edits that I've been putting together to make the rules more clear, and I think I addressed that.
Okay.
Yes,
If you need,
exactly.
I have a picture in the Atlantean book that I can get you that shows that pattern.
Perfect.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, what he's saying is that the rules you see at the front part of that set of rules are the ones that have been in existence for the past 20 years. Sandor has done a rewrite, is at the end of those, and it does address some of those things
Right.
that were previously we thought understood, but you bring up a very good point. It's not necessarily understood. We should delineate it.
Right.
Thank you.
We want to make this clear. We want to make it easy. We do not want to make it like pulling teeth.
Okay. And I haven't, had a chance to go through it in detail. If somebody does one event at the walk, one event at the trot, and tries to do the third one at the trot but breaks gait or whatever, or tries to do it at the walk and they pick up gait, where are we going with multiple gates?
Okay. The way we're going to go with this for right now is that a rider may submit one score per event. They choose the gate they wish to compete at. If the equestrian marshal in charge of that event says you're having trouble at this gate, would you like another pass at a reduced gate, and they accept, that's fine. But if they break gate too much, it's a disqualified run.
Okay, so it's just a flat disqualification, not
And we are
scored in
and
the lower division.
Another change from the way we've done things in the past is we're no longer going to be recording 0 scores.
Right.
If someone has a 0 score run, it's just not going to be recorded.
Right. Okay.
So that's a different. We'll record it, but it will not show up on the website. It'll be part of our records as a 0 score, which is different from a disqualification.
Okay. Is it in the IKEq we can just set up the heads and just submit head scores and not anything else?
Yep.
Or we're
Yep.
doing all of the things?
Nope. Pick whatever you want,
whatever
or
you wanna do.
1, 2,
And
3. Yeah.
As I said earlier, if you want to put an IKEq compliant heads course in the middle, beginning, or end of a challenge course that you're running for another tournament and submit those scores, that's perfectly acceptable.
Okay. Talk me through a two-handed burhouse. So I'm not sure.
Okay. check me. Two-handed Burhaus, you have a lance, 7 foot long. Unlike with,
I have a 4-foot Burhaus.
that's one-handed. The javelin is 4 foot and it's one-handed.
So, right, so here's a challenge then. Burhaus javelins must have a minimum length of 4 feet. And then you get to the Burhaus and talk about, depends whether you're going to do it one-handed or two-handed.
The
So you
revision
need
is going to be. I believe we're going to go between 4 and 5 feet on a Burhaus javelin.
Well, and we're going to
Right.
split Burhaus into the one-handed and the
Yeah,
two-handed.
we're probably going to split that into 2 games.
Okay, well that's what I'm trying.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not nitpicking, but I'm pretty anal.
No, sir.
No, that's exactly what we. That's exactly what we're doing.
Understand?
This is what we've asked for.
Particular about stuff, and so but talk me through a two-handed Burhaus. I can't get my head around.
All right, here I am astride my horse. I have let go of the reins. I'm controlling the mount by seat alone.
Right.
Here comes the hoop.
So you must launch it from both hands and catch it in both hands.
It must leave control of both hands at some point, and you must have control of the weapon before you exit the lane. If that's a disc ball.
Right. Is this a disc ball? Okay, I want to do it two-handed because I can get more points. Okay, okay, that's a catch.
That's
right. And then I have not left the lane. I whip it over into this hand. It was in 2 hands. It went to 1. I did this. It went back to 2. Woohoo! I got a 2-hand.
You start the round
So,
with the weapon in control of 2
Right.
hands.
Question?
You end the round with the weapon in control of 2 hands. At one point, the weapon went through the hoop and was no longer connected to your body in any way.
Right.
That's a valid right.
Okay. My concern is there's lots of room for gamesmanship in that. As a negative term, meaning I'm gaming the system because I can do it one-handed all day long. Okay, I'll start with it in 2 hands, put it in 1 hand, throw it, catch it, and right before I exit the lane, whack, it's in 2 hands. Okay, woohoo, I get the 2-handed score, right? Because there is a difference in the amount of points I can score one-handed or two-handed according to the way I just read it written. So I'm asking that question just because I know how some people are going to think, game it, and therefore I'll technically do what you said, but I'm really
right now,
just doing one-handed.
just to be honest, I'd love to see people playing it. We don't have any valid scores
Right.
for Beer House in the database at all.
Okay,
So
well, I
it
just
sounds-
wondered if there's really value in
and
a
you can correct me,
two-handed.
but it sounds to me like the major difference between one-handed and two-handed is with one-handed, you have the option the entire time of having the reins of your horse. Whereas in two-handed, even if you did what he said and switched to technically doing this, as long as you're not back touching your reins, you're still two-handed, as long as your other hand is away.
Okay,
Is that what you're saying?
if I understand what you're asking, a one-handed Beer House run, you have the reins in your offhand. You pitch, you reach over the hoop, and you grab. Now,
Right.
mind you, if you knock the hoop out,
That
that's
doesn't.
a 0 score.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I just have to
Let's
run to
chase
the
this down
market.
later. I would love to discuss this at length.
Yeah,
with you.
I'm kind of curious whether there's really value in a two-handed Burhaus.
I think you're right too. I'm feeling that that might
I've
just.
kind of never seen it done, so it was weird to me. I wouldn't get my
I haven't ever
head
seen
around
it
it.
really. I think we've only seen it in Impress Sable Rose.
Gwen actually does it, but she does not do it the way you say. She puts it through, grabs it with the other hand. So it may be in both hands for a little bit.
Okay,
But
this is
But you can
the
do it
kind
by
of
law.
discussion we
you
need
can
to
do it,
have.
you can't, girl, this is what-
Yeah.
This is the kind of discussion we need to have.
Right, yeah. I wanted to stay, but I have a.
I understand. Please chase us down later. I'd love to continue this.
Super.
All right.
So the two-handed is in there because what we did was we started with the existing rules
Right.
and
And it's, as I believe the two-handed version is the one that was historically referenced.
right, that was the one documentation was found. So the rules, the games stuff in specific, stuff from the existing rules is in the main section, and then suggested revisions are in a section that is entitled.
The other major
Appendix
change between the two
suggestions.
games is that two-handed Bergerus requires a lane, one-handed Bergerus does not. I know that's kind of technical, but the way we're writing it right now, pending further revisions, is if the course is set up for two-handed with a proper lane, and the rider says, "Can I have a javelin?" They can switch at the beginning of the run if the course is set up for two-handed. They have their option. They have to stick with it. The next round they can change their mind, but as soon as they leave the gate, it is what it is. The game itself is scored unusually. The reason it's scored the way it is because, oh gosh, set the Wayback Machine to think about an AS40. I was seeing the head scores cropping closer and closer to 130 points. Rings topped out at 90. Reed's was originally scored to 150, if I recall. And what's the point in that? If we want a perfect run on this game to compare with any of the other games, the score needs to be at least somewhat level. Heads is hard to balance that way. We've done a little bit with the way we make the score for heads, and it's complicated. I'll be happy to go through it if anybody's interested. But, and it's not any different than it was done before, it's just I've done away with the tables. The real issue with all of this is trying to find a baseline score that's the maximum. At this point, Rings is a maximum of 90 points, Reed's is a maximum of 90 points, Bierhaus is a maximum of 90 points. The archery games, with the exception of the bonus points available for triple target, has a maximum of 90 points. That's another change we are making because 90, you could get, if you shot 3 bullseyes single target, that was 90 points. You shot 3 bullseyes with triple target, the way it was originally scored, that was 15 plus time bonus. I mean, that's not going to work. Sorry. You want those two to compare.
Let's go for 2.
Heads is still going to give you occasional scores above 90, but that's just because, again, we want it's a time thing, and when you have a time thing, you have to guess, okay, where is the athletic theoretical maximum effort of horse and rider, and well, we can get it wrong. If somebody can show me they can run their horse and their equipment at our rules and do a reasonable job of playing properly, and they can smoke the pants off anybody else, I'll have to rewrite the rules, I guess. But we won't do it in the middle of the year. Now, since this new system is making use of technology that is subject to hacks and foreign entry and database corruption, computer crashes, and all that nasty stuff you hear in the news, the one thing that might change during the year is the procedures for doing the digital submissions. That's about the only thing we might ever change during the year, and that only really involves the people running events. We're also going to make another slight change. I believe we're going to go with, and it'll be the only position that the IKEq will actually offer any kind of authorization for as part of the IKEq, and that is a tournament assistant. This person is someone who is trained in the rules, trained in how to use the equipment. They can act everything a marshal could do for the IKEq, except be a marshal. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
A list mistress.
Yes, I wanted to ask you about that too, because you were saying, I feel like that if I was marshaling something, I would not want to have to be looking down at my phone all the time. That would take my mind off the safety. So we could have a separate person.
That is certainly a discussion we're going to have. The thing is that I haven't finished building the tools yet.
Yeah,
But
we should.
But the idea is
that
you marshal the run.
Mm-hmm.
The field is clear. You have a moment. You check in with the list mistress or whoever your assistant is, or maybe the marshal in training you're training up, or whoever you delegate to be your record keeper, because we're giving you the authority to delegate. And they handle this.
So there could be someone totally separate handling that.
Right. We're working really hard to change all this up, to take a look at where the equestrian rules and regulations are right now. We absolutely do not ever want to conflict with anybody's equestrian rules, be it society, kingdom, or some local groups. I mean, because let's face it, every now and then you'll run into a side owner that just has to have his own way.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. But the point is that we don't offer authorization for mounted games. That's not part of what we do. We don't authorize marshals. That's not what we do. We let marshals who are authorized in their own right to be, well, our referees. We trust that the marshals out there are fair and impartial, and they have a sense of honor about these things, and they will give us, basically, they will give us their best effort to make the games look good and make their event look good. And that's a hard row to hoe.
Yeah. So,
Anything else? That answer that for you?
Yeah.
So who we can have that person that we would authorize as the other IKEqC helper person or whatever.
We're going with tournament assistant.
Tournament assistant.
And the tournament assistant would not, they would just need to know about the rules and
They-
know how to score the game. They didn't necessarily
Right.
have to be an authorized rider.
The way we're writing the rules is a tournament assistant has the authority to participate with rules discussions. They can witness from the sidelines. They can update the database. They can keep the paper copy records. They cannot enter the field unless they are otherwise authorized to do so. So if they have no authorization to enter the field, they can't do it because we said they're authorized. That's not on us. That's outside of us. They have to have that to play.
So they're kind of like our secretary then. So
Correct.
us marshals will be out on the field and we will call out the score.
Exactly.
And write down. It's kind of like an LOL.
We are adding that as an additional option to make it easier for the marshals because we know that when you have a large challenge course, you have to have helpers.
Yes.
We are also adding a couple of other caveats. If you have a marshal in charge but you don't have a fully trained second marshal, we're going to play with the idea of using the tournament assistant as your second witness, or failing that, 2 riders as witness. These are authorized riders. They do not have to have competed, but if they did compete, one cannot have placed higher than 3rd place overall.
Right, so the purpose of the witness is so we have verification of the scores. That's consistent with the interkingdom archery competition, except so interkingdom archery competition has a new, they have a poll, they have a new tourney every quarter, and we're sticking with the
1 year.
Yeah,
One
we're
year.
we're
It's a
sticking
little
for
easier.
the league the length of the Anno Societatis year. And because if we get to the point where we're drawing in 500 and 600 scores a quarter, we might go to that. But we're not pulling in that much. Matter of fact, our banner year was 37 at a little over 300 scores.
The other reason for keeping it with a year is, as we all know, our climates are different. So folks in North Shield may have an opportunity only in summer months to submit scores, whereas folks in Trimaris or Anstiora might prefer to submit their scores
In the winter.
in the winter.
Right.
And if we have the year.
Yeah, then it's, yeah.
Oh, and the other question they may ask is, well, we're kind of in the middle of the year, so what about this year?
Well,
And
what we've decided is that if anybody has scores left for this year, we are going to attack them onto 52 as bonus scores for 52. That's because there has been very, very little done with IKEqC in the last 36 months.
Yeah.
It's not been very much, and at least anything that we can find. There's been some done here, some done there, some done piecemeal. I believe Bichette, the previous keeper, she ran into difficulties. She stopped using Sandor's system, and she started doing everything by hand. And then life happened, and life happens, and I don't know all the details behind all of that, and it wouldn't be proper for me to talk about such things anyway. But the thing is that it was more than she could handle, and so I think the only fair thing to do at this point is to call 51 up to this point a loss, and start again fresh with 52.
so that means any scores that we
If we-
collected
yeah,
at
any-
Gulf anybody who wants to participate,
They will be on the database, but they will be scored with the next tournament year,
So when does the tournament year start?
with the turn of the AO Societatis year.
May 1.
1st.
May 1st. So,
May 1st.
So May 1st
Is every
May
time
1st.
when you get your New Year is May 1st.
Okay.
Anacetatis because the SCA started
Technically,
Technically
they
May
say
1st.
The SCA started on May the 1st, 1966.
Okay. So this May 1st,
Mm-hmm.
then that will be to start when we're just officially rolling with just normal year time again.
Right.
Right, but we're
And
taking.
we're on bonus time right now, more or less.
Yeah, if we
So-
can manage to get scores tomorrow, as an example, when we're running the field for an IKEqC competition, and we can manage to get those scores, we'll roll that into the May 1st scores. It's kind
So
of
effectively, we got a 14-month year for this.
This
Right.
one, yeah.
And then we'll go to the standard 12 from there on.
Yeah.
The only real caveat I'll make to that is that we're going to do our best with what we do tomorrow, and to follow what's on the books the way it is right now. There may be a little bit of tweaking to the rules between now and the 1st of May, which we will publish and scream to the rafters about. But like I said, this is bonus time. We want to make sure people's names get on the website if they are.
yeah.
We would also like to, so traditionally, one of the games has been selected as the one that would determine the championship. We haven't decided that yet for.
And we probably are not going to. Too many people have asked, and said, well, we lost interest because this year you made it mounted archery as the champion, and we don't want to do that. So they didn't participate. So this time, I believe it's just going to be a deal, really, where we're just going to allow people to do any one of these.
I believe what we're
Yeah.
going to end up doing is we're going to name a champion of each game.
That's what I was
Yeah.
Why not just a
Yeah, be a champion of
We're
each
going to
game.
name a champion of each game, and if sometime down the road we can come up with a better way to make a grand tournament champion, we'll come up with a system like that. We'll probably do something along the lines of.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll probably do something along the lines of an intermediate scoring system, so that if one champion is the champion in more than one game, he'll end up being he or she will end up being
Yeah. Yeah.
the tournament champion.
I had a question about. Well, okay. It was actually for myself. That's okay.
Oh, oops.
You go ahead.
Go ahead.
You might know the answer. I'll just.
I'll do my best.
Okay, so she mentioned the Inter-Kingdom archery. Is that separate from this?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
archery is ground archery.
Oh, so she was just talking about. She was not talking about
IKEqC
mounted
is
archery.
Right, yeah.
is good archery, yes.
Yeah, actually, if you'll hold this for a moment, I just want to take over just a couple moments. We'll post this on the website, the history of IKEqC. It evolved because in the SCA there was inter-kingdom archery competition, and as you know, archery ground on the foot is extremely popular in SCA, and that was almost from the get-go that was held. And so the Inter-Kingdom Equestrian competition is kind of like a play on that, and evolved from that concept that the archers had the opportunity to compete internationally, so to speak, and the equestrians do as well. And I just want to say again, just really briefly, this all came about in the mid-90s. Mistress Isabeau Perfenganger was the first IKEqC administrator. It occurred during the time I was as Society Equestrian officer back then. And we kind of came up with the concept at Gulf Wars. We all came in together and we said, hey, why don't we do this? And then after her, as you could see, the different years, it just went on. And so I really want to give thanks to the folks in the past who kept things going for 20 years. And it certainly was not me the whole time. And really to say, there's people who breathe life into it every step of the way. Doucette was the most recent one that we had as the single administrator, and at this point we're doing the council as of the end of last year, so that we could all share in the burden, the very heavy burden of trying to keep things going. So I just want to thank everybody. I want to thank the people who essentially we built on their shoulders. And anytime you have something great that occurs, it was due to those in the past who held it up. So I just want to make that clear and give them my thanks.
Caitlin, you had a question. I'm sorry. A door. What